All right, so let's get right into it. What I'll do is I'll do a screen share here. Yeah, if you're following along, open up After Effects. I'm running the latest version. What's that? 2020. Which you guys should be able to get now, which is pretty awesome. We'll just do a screen share of desktop 3. All right, so you guys will see that. So these are the files that I've given you. So there's 5 clips. They're all about 10 seconds long, just different types of shots. So you can kind of see this one's relatively high up. They're all drone shots. You can kind of see each one's going to have its own little challenges. And there's going to be some stuff that would be very difficult to track, if not impossible. But I kind of like it that you can kind of see what these challenges are. So is that the 5th one? No, that's the 4th one. So kind of like a tilting shot. And the last one is kind of a close-up sort of shot. Cool. These were actually shot at 4K, but I've given you guys 1080p versions just to make it a little less work on your computer. Now, first of all, when we're looking at these shots, what we really need to be looking out for, you'll actually see we've got this tree that's going through our shot. Now, if we had something going behind this, it's going to be a lot of work to try and cut out all of these little branches and twigs and things like that. If it was a completely different color, we might be able to do some cunning tricks by, basically almost like doing like a green screen effect, to try and remove the background. But this particular shot would be very difficult to put something behind that tree. Likewise over here as well, you can kind of see this area here, we could probably key out a lot of this, but it's going to get really difficult when you've got grass behind it. So whenever you're trying to sort of do these shoots and trying to get these shots, just think about the objects that are going in front, and trees are definitely the most difficult ones. Buildings are relatively easy. So if we were trying to put something right the way back against that building there, you can kind of see there's a straight line, So if there was like something going behind these 2 buildings, or in between these 2 buildings, it'd be relatively easy to crop because we'd just have to mask out this sort of shape here, and we could even track that, and it would take a couple of minutes. But the trees, like through here, almost impossible. So if we're putting something in the foreground, not a problem. Only thing I would probably say is a little bit tricky would be if I put something on the ground here, I might want these branches, like the shadows of this tree, to fall on it. So that might be a little bit of a trick to pull off. Again, because there's no real difference in color. There is a little bit of difference in luminosity, but it fades out. So that might be a little bit tricky to try and fake a shadow onto an object. Again, if it was something really simple like this chair, I could quite easily make a little shape in here and just darken whatever went underneath it so that it looked like it was underneath the chair. Awesome. Okay, so let's have a look at doing some of this. I'm just going to choose one of these shots. So we're going to start with a single point track. Actually, I think is there one that's a little bit wider than that? Just close up. Yeah, this one here. Okay, so let's use this one. Now I'm just going to drag and drop this straight into. Oh, hang on, I've got to get to my project here. Sorry. Straight into the bin, or where all the project files are stored. And your first trick for today is, I can click on new composition and have to set up how long it is and the frame rate and all the rest of it. Or you can actually just grab your video clip and drag it down here. See, there's like a little, looks like a little video clip with some shapes on it. If you drag and drop it on there, it'll instantly set up a new composition with all the right settings. Okay, so that will be exactly the same length as the video clip that you dropped in there. And it will also set the frame size and the frame rate exactly the same as the clip that you dropped on it. So that's the real quick and easy way of creating a new composition. Now, yes, you could have done something in Premiere and then sent it to After Effects as well. I tend to like to just export the individual clips rather than import a really big clip and then try and edit it in here. It just wastes a lot of time. So I've actually already gone through and edited out these little clips from a much larger clip. All right, so now we've got our comp all ready to go. I can hit play and we can see it all working. All right, let's get rid of that. And we'll just collapse that. Now, so what we're going to do, I'm going to do a couple of things here. First of all, we're just going to do a very simple single track. So I'm going to track an object in our scene and we'll attach something to it. So on the right hand side here, you'll see the tracker. And we've got here a track camera, track motion, warp stabilizer, and stabilize motion. So the track camera we're going to do later on. So that's where we actually create a virtual camera that matches our scene. Sorry. We've also got a warp stabilizer, which will basically try and the stabilize motion, which will basically, that's quite good if you've got like handheld shot, you know, running down the street and it's quite shaky. You can stabilize it with these controls. But we're going to jump straight into track motion. Because we had this clip all selected and everything, it's gone and added it as an effect. So you can actually see down here, we should have motion tracker and there's a tracker 1. And there's a tracking point, and you can see on the screen, we've got a tracking point here as well. So over here, we've got the motion that it's tracking. So this is actually just the clip. It's called tracker 1. So we can actually have multiple trackers on this. And we're going to do a transform. Okay, so this will just give us a single point. Now, what we do is if we, let's say we want to track the chair. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this. Now, if you grab it, see there's kind of this inside box. That's what we're going to be tracking. This outside box is the search box. So that's the area that's going to search for that, for the item that we're tracking. So if the camera's moving really fast, you might have to make this tracking box much larger, so it's searching a larger area. However, that also introduces the possibility that, for example, if I was tracking this, so if we go and grab this, we'll move this down to here. So I'm going to track here. Quite often what I'm trying to look for is nice horizontal and vertical lines. If I make this track box too large, for one, it's going to take a lot longer to do the track, and also it might get confused and all of a sudden see this as the tracking point, and so you'll find that also in your tracking marker jumps from here to here. Okay, so if the camera moved way too quickly, it goes oops, and we're tracking the wrong object. So the idea, and you can kind of see that as I move through here, so I haven't done the track, you can kind of see that, you know, it's not going to have to search very far to find that object. Okay, I might make that a bit smaller. Just be careful because it's real easy to grab the center point of this and move it out. I don't know why you would want to do that. So I constantly sit there going undo. So just make sure that when you grab this box, you kind of click on this empty space in here and it'll work a lot more predictably. All right, so all we have to do now, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see this happen. Down the bottom here, we've got the analyze controls. So we can go frame by frame. This is quite handy when you've got an item that's difficult to track and it keeps moving off. You can kind of go frame by frame and then move it back if it wanders. Otherwise, you just hit this. So now it's just going to go through the whole footage. The tracking point should stay where it was, and we should get a nice little trail being attached. Cool. Now, this is the little trick. So we could attach this tracker to an object directly. However, the problem with that is that it becomes very difficult to move. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a thing called a null object. Okay, and a null object it's nothing. It's just an object, and you'll see here we got this null. And what we can do is we can use this null object to move other items. So we can just link it all to this null object. So what we're going to do is go edit target, and we're going to say the layer is null1, and go OK. And so now this tracker will move this null object when I hit apply. Cool. Now it's just saying, well, what dimensions do you want to apply? So we could say, well, I just wanted to do in the X or the Y. I don't know. I suppose if you wanted it just to move horizontally or vertically and not up and down, but we want to do X and Y, and we go, okay. So now you can actually see this red box is my null object, and it's actually moving with my scene. Cool. So now let's go and grab text tool, let's say, and we're going to write chair. Cool. And all we have to do now is parent the chair to null object, and chair moves with the null object. Now, the reason I use the null object is that now I can move this chair independent of the null object, which means that when I do a transform, so if I go and just grab my little cursor here, I can move this to the chair, I can move it quite freely, and it still moves nicely with the chair. And so anything else I wanted to add to this track, I just parent to the null. Okay, so you just grab that little, I don't know what that swirly thing. You can actually see here, I could also do a drop down as well. So that just means that wherever null moves, chair's going to move. But I've still got the freedom of adjusting all of the transform tools independent of null. So that's why I could just move the chair the word chair wherever I like. Now, that works totally fine in this situation because we're not getting any perspective change. But if the camera went up, the text is still going to be square to the screen. Now, that could be fine. However, it might not, especially if we go up or we change perspective or we rotate, that chair will always be facing the screen because it's just tracking that one object. So yes, it looks like it's actually stuck to the chair, but it's not really, it's just moving with the shot. So that's when we would have to do like a 2-point track or something like that. So we'll do that later on because I just want to show you one other really cool trick. Let's say we want to do this to a line, right? So this is another, so let's say we wanted to, actually I'm going to unparent chair, so which is quite nice because I can just go none. So chair won't move now, it'll just stay where it is. So let's say I want to put this here, and instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm just going to draw a line from here to here. Cool. And what I want it to do is for that end point to be stuck to the chair. Now, if I parent this to null, oops, the problem with that is the whole line moves. Okay. Oh, oh, whoopsies. Sorry. What's going on there? Oh, press return zone. No, whoops, hang on. What have I done wrong? Pen tool. There we go. Why am I not getting the... Yeah, I don't know, that was a bit weird. Okay, there's my line. So if I parent the line, where are we? To null, the whole line moves with it, right? Which is no cool. I want the line to go from chair to the object. So I'll show you a little trick. What we're going to do, I'm just going to move that about there. There's a really cool little, oh, hang on, sorry, I've got my zoom menu in the way. Just move that out to another screen. Under window, it's got create nulls from path. And this little window pops up. And we can say points follow nulls. And when we do this, oops, points follow nulls. Ugh, what am I doing wrong? path. Points follow nulls. You see that I don't use. Yeah. Let's just. Oh, there we go. All right. Of course, this always happens when you're doing a tutorial. Looks fine otherwise. Points follow nulls. There we go. I don't know. Okay, so now we've got these two null objects, right? And what's quite cool with this is it means that if I move null 3, so I'm just going to use my little arrow here, the end of the line moves. So all I have to do now is parent this null 3 to null 1. And when I play it, dun, dun, dun. And of course I can move this one independently. So if I want to just move that so it's pointing just like that. So I'm just going to just collapse that, just deselect everything. And so now I've got the end of the line attached to the chair, but the chair doesn't move. Cool? All right. So let's do now, let's do a new comp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually grab our video clip and go pop into here. Cool. This time, oh, actually no, let's use a different clip, okay? Because I just want to show why we would want to do to track more than 1 point. So we'll do a 2-point track. So let's just have a look over here. That one will be really good for a corner pin. We'll do that. Maybe that one. That one's not too bad. No, not that one. That one we just used. Actually, this one looks quite cool. What we'll do is we'll put a word across the top of this building here. Okay, so we'll just drag and drop this into our timeline. Drop him onto the comp button. We'll get a new comp. Churn, churn, churn. Spinny wheel of death. Are we going to crash? It looks like we are. Awesome. Any questions so far? Oh no, we're back. Any questions so far? Are you all still there?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not gone yet.
All right. Okay, so here's our next clip. So as I said, what we'll do is we're going to track these 2 points here. And as you can see, if we did a single point track on this, it's not going to rotate properly, right? So what I mean by that is, let's go and open up our tracker. We're going to track this one. So we're going to track motion. And we're going to grab this and we're going to move it up to here. Will it track? Who knows? I'll do a single point track first, just to sort of also help you kind of lock in what we did the first time around, right? So let's do a single point track. So I'm going to track that object. So we just go, dun, 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 dun. It's not tracking so well this time. See, it's moving around and jumping. That kind of sucks. So that's what happens when we don't have something that's different enough from the background. You can kind of see why, even I can't really see the difference of that. So let's track that window instead. Okay, so I've gone all the way back. You can hit reset, but as soon as I hit track, it's going to track from that point anyway. I zoomed in, so it's a bit hard to actually see if that worked or not. So, oops, just move our time slide a bit here. Come on, I want to see the track. Yeah, so that's worked a lot better, right? Okay, so then we go new, and I'm going to create a new null object. This is going to be target, is going to be null 4. Hit OK. Why is it null 4, not null 1? Oh. And is there anything else? No. Hit apply. X and Y, yes please. Cool. We're going to create text here. It's a building. Okay, we'll just increase that text size a little bit. There we go. Nice. Okay, we parent that to null. And when we hit play, now notice what's happening here. See, so the building's kind of rotating and it's not really sticking to it. Starts off up here, and then it starts to kind of like drift downwards, or at least it looks like it is. So this is where we want to see how that wanders, and that's because it's only based on one point, right? Really what I needed to do is kind of skew the whole thing. So let's try that again. I've got to figure out which must be, which one is this? Is this number 1, is it? Yeah. So let's do another one. We're going to go that one. We'll do a new composition. I should really be naming these, but anyway. And this time, why am I seeing the word building? It's not there. Oh, I know why, because I actually dragged the entire. You can nest your comps. We'll be doing this later on. So you can have comps inside of comps, which make a lot of sense, to be honest. Right, sorry, let's grab the actual clip and drag that onto a new comp. There we go. Okay, so this time we're going to do 2-point track. Oops. I don't know why it's saying I'm running out of hard drive space. I've got heaps of hard drive space. 200 gig. All right. So this time we're going to hit the tracker. Make sure we've got this clip here. We're going to do track motion. Okay. This time though, we're going to see it says position. We're going to do rotation and scale. Okay. And you'll notice we get 2 points this time. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to move that to that window. Cool. And we'll grab this one and move. Whoops. These do it all the time. Oops. And we'll track the top corner of this window. All right. All right. And we're at the beginning of our clip, so we're going to track from the beginning. You can track backwards as well. So sometimes you might, especially if it gets obscured by something, you kind of go to one side of it and track in one direction, go to the other side and track in the other direction. Okay, but we've got a nice track there. And again, we're going to create a null object. So here's our null. We're going to set the target as our null. And we're going to hit apply. X and Y. Cool. And it looks like our null object is attached to it. Awesome. This time we're going to create our text. Let's grab it from up here. Okay, and in fact, what I'm going to do, I'll do this from this end of the clip, and I'm going to go building. Okay, we parent that to our null. And now it's actually distorting. I should have done it on something that changed way more drastically. But you can see it looks like it stays exactly where it is. Okay, notice the G is still hanging off the side. Pretty cool. All right. So that's those. That's the single point and the 2-point tracking. These ones nice and fast, real quick to be able to sort of just put something into your scene, and doesn't require a huge amount of effort. Where it kind of falls over is if your object, for example, starts outside of the scene. So if I was trying to track like this building here, you can see that it starts off outside the scene. So how would I track both points? That becomes very difficult. Also, of course, if something goes in front of the object or in front of the points that you're trying to track, that can also cause it to glitch. Or as you saw before, if you just don't have very good points to track, there's not enough sort of detail, especially on that building, then that becomes an issue as well. As we saw, the track just kind of fell off. So that's when we're going to do camera tracking. So let's get a shot that's a little bit more challenging. So we've done that one, did that one. That one's not bad. This one. Okay, so this one's kind of tricky because very few of the points stay in shot for the entire clip, especially the buildings, right? These buildings up here are completely out of shot, so we wouldn't be able to track them from the very beginning. We could start tracking them from about here, but that's going to be tricky as well. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to use this to do a 3D camera track. So again, I've just dragged that into my project. We'll drag that onto a new comp. Sets up a new comp with exactly the right settings. Lovely. And we're going to select our clip, go to tracker, and this time we're going to go track camera. Now, this one is going to be quite dependent on how good your computer is. So as you can see, it's going to do lots of analyzing all the time, and it can take a little while. We can see here it's trying to analyze the clip immediately. Churn. This is where I should pause the video and then start it again so you don't have to sit there waiting for it. This is why you do not want to have some massive big clips. You want to be quite precise with the shot that you're going to be tracking. You can see that it's a lot more processing. So compared to doing the single point or 2-point tracks. Right, so now it's solving the camera, and we've got a whole bunch of points. And you can see we've got this pretty funky looking target. So this target basically allows us to sort of select a surface. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to try and get one that looks like it's on the ground here. Okay, and if I right click, I can go create text and camera. Oh no, I'm going to create a solid and camera. Cool. And now when I go and rotate this, it should look like I've got something on the ground. Okay. Now you can go through and tweak the settings because you can see I haven't got a huge number of points in here. However, check this out. If I go into this 3D camera track, I double click on it. Sorry, how do I open up the 3D camera? I've forgotten how to. Oh, that's right, over here. 3D tracking camera. Oh no. This is where I want to pause my recording. What I'm trying to do is open up this clip. Oops. Now I've lost my project because I opened up the wrong thing. We're back again. All right. Oh, I think I know why. Where are we? sorry. Fix, it says a 3D camera tracker. So you want to try and get back to that 3D camera tracker, you just got to expand it out and you'll get all your points back again. You can do this thing again. So for example, if we go and pop some text in here now, this time what we're going to do is I'm going to pop some text in here. And we'll see this track here, it's got a 3D layer. All right. And we can actually copy and paste from our camera tracker. It should be, where is it? Oh no, sorry, the solid track. I'm going to go to the transform. I'm going to copy this and go to our hello and go paste, and it pastes the settings of the solid tracker, which I can turn off now, so that looks like it's on the ground. Now I should be able to grab this hello and move it so it looks like it's on the ground. Cool. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. Cool. And you've still got all of the controls that you'd normally have. So we've got all the rotation controls and all that sort of carry on. But now it should look like sitting on the ground, but it's not. And this is the trick. So what I have to actually do is sit here moving this until you'll notice that this is actually a 3D element. And I should be able to get a 3D manipulator somewhere. Oh, there it is. Probably going to move it in the Z. Now it looks like it's beneath the ground. So yeah, it looks like it's almost hovering above the ground. Pretty cool, eh? We can move this around. Looks like it's about there. But what's quite cool is, of course, I can actually move this. So if I move this all the way over here, out of shot, it still tracks properly. Okay. I can rotate it. Oops, I can grab the right axis. Whoops, don't grab the scene. Grab the hello. But yeah, anyway, I think I'll leave it at that because there we go. Cool. Grab that, move that down.
Can you do this with overlaying like other clips instead of text?
Yeah. So yeah, so I could put anything in there. So it doesn't have to be the word hello. If I want to draw a shape, the trick is actually trying to get it to actually fix to the surface. So as you can kind of see, it's a little bit tricky if we haven't got many items to work on. Any actual points here? So you've got to get this target basically to look like it's sitting on a flat surface. Which, what we might have to do is just go into the 3D tracking settings. Just double.
So could you put like a PNG or something on it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so any image, in fact, an entire composition. So if you had like an animated chart or something like that, you could do that as a composition and then track that into that 3D space.
Cool.
So yeah, any solid, any shape. Yeah, if I go and draw, oops, that's a mask. If I go and create a new shape, pretty much anything actually, even lights. But yeah, I'm not going to get right into the 3D comping because, oops, I've gone and opened up the wrong project again. But yeah, the trick is actually getting enough of these points and not too many points that it gets out of control. And I believe you do that by going into here, and I think it's under advanced somewhere in here, detailed analysis. This will obviously take a little bit longer, but you should get a lot more points being created. And in fact, you can actually, if you've got like a whole bunch of points, it basically goes just on 3 points, but you can actually select more points. But what I found is that sometimes you get a bit of a strange little wobble introduced if you've got any of those points are not as accurate. But yeah, and you can actually set up a ground plane as well, actually, which helps. So if you select one, you can right click on it and say set as ground plane, and then everything kind of moves flat to that. And we should be able to get into the 3D camera view, but I'm just trying to remember how to do that. But yeah, in theory, I can actually do stuff while it's doing this analysis, but it just makes it take longer. Can't remember how to change this into the 3D camera view. You can also change this. There's classic 3D and then there's cinema 4D, and that will render a lot better, but it's a bit slower. But by all means, you can try that out. We can also do stuff like this text at the moment is just 2-dimensional, but as soon as you extrude it and it becomes a 3D layer, we should find in here somewhere. Oh, actually, that's where I might have to change that to, yeah. If I change this, see what it says change renderer. If I change that to the Cinema 4D, again, it is going to slow things down a little bit. But now we can actually go and extrude that text. Maybe not that much. And you see we're actually getting some depth to it. But yeah, and then we can also go through and change, like, bevels and all sorts of stuff on the text. Somewhere there's shadows, but we'd have to create shadow catches. And you've got a whole bunch of controls over what it looks like. Somewhere there should be the color. Oh, I suppose it's just the color of the text, isn't it? But yeah, see, that's now 3D text, but you can see that it's playing back a little bit slow now. So I'd recommend you try to stick to the 1 and 2 point track as much as possible. The 3D camera tracking is awesome, but as you can see, it starts to get slower and more cumbersome. Yes, it definitely gives you some really awesome options, but it also makes things a lot trickier. Now I just got to remember how to flick this into the 3D view. Oh, here we go, switch to 3D view. Active camera. Whoa. Right. Definitely a way. I can't remember. You basically see it as a 3D space rather than. But I don't know. I'll probably watch a YouTube video after this and go, oh yeah, that's right, I meant to click that button. All right, so that's your 3 different ways of doing camera tracking. You guys got any questions? Nope. Okay,